Hello, everybody. I'm Victor Rivera, and this is D&Mead Like the Drink, where it is a talkie show. It's like the talk show of D&Me, where I encourage you to have a glass of something good. This is our non-alcoholic D&Mead Like the Drink, so for those of my friends who don't drink, and then those of my friends who are too young to drink, so 20 or younger here in these United States of America. So, welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining me on Pi Day. That's right, March 14th. It's Pi. 314. So, that's what today is. I had some pumpkin pie with my one of my new roommates. He's pumpkin pie. And then I had a chicken pot pie from Boston Market. And then I was thinking, okay, so I didn't really want to like drink tonight, because normally for D&Mead like the drink, then I disintegrate into tipsy tangents. But tonight I was like, I want to be cohesive. So okay, so I'm gonna go out and get. Oh well, it's Pie Day. How can I drink in pie? So I was thinking like apple pie moonshine, but I just wanted like a little shot of it instead of the $18.99 mason jar of it for the one joke. And I'm like, that's pretty good, but I don't want a whole thing. I don't want one shot less of a full thing of apple pie moonshine for a joke for $20. Maybe later, but not tonight. So instead, I have apple juice, and it's the perfect orange, and it unfortunately looks like pea, but it's apple juice. Oh, it's very good apple juice. So, and then let's see, apple juice joke, and two, cool. So, and people in the chat, let me know what your favorite pie is. Mine is mine is pumpkin, which I had earlier today, but pumpkin pie, and it's the little D&Me pumpkin that you can also buy on Redbubble. And where can you get that? That's on linktr.ee/DnMeAdventures. And you can have like the pumpkin little sticker that I had for Halloween that I made, and I was like, oh well, pumpkin's my favorite. Oh well, that's perfect. So I just threw that together. So yeah, let me know what your favorite pie is. There is meat pies and fruit pies and quiches or quiches pies. And then is cake better than pies? Which is a whole like huge debate apparently, and we're not going to get into controversial material tonight, but yeah, let me know. But otherwise, I'm just going to take this opportunity to enjoy your company, and then we're just going to chat about how D&Me's going. This is halfway through our 8th month, and it's great because the last month's D&Mead, I do D&Mead Like the Drink, a random Monday of a month. And last week it was on February as well. Nope, last week was on the 14th as well. So it's great that was on Valentine's Day, and then this is Pi Day. So little holiday adventures. So. Also, you can have this really potion bottle. There is it does look like pea, doesn't it? There is a Nerd bar here in Atlanta. Actually, it's Sandy Springs and Marietta, but it's called Battle and Brew, where you can go in and drink and eat food and play video games. So they have like a bunch of desktops and like consoles. So they have PlayStation 5s, and I'm looking for a PlayStation 5. But They like you can play video games and like Switch and Mario Party and Mario Kart with friends and beat each other up with Marvel vs. Capcom. And if you haven't played Spider-Man Miles Morales, well, guess what? You can do that. So that's really, really cool. And so then they have these potions. They have health, mana, magic, and Elisk Flat. I don't really remember the names, but you can buy the little orb glasses, and I think about it every once in a while, but like you can go to like Michael's and get your own little vase. But it's great that you can support a nerd bar, so that's what that is. Ooh, I promise it's just apple juice. So welcome again. I have a Word document that I don't really touch on this laptop, where it's just notes of stuff that hadn't happened for D&Me, or I had really good notes, but they became not really relevant or kind of moot because I figured out something better. So I want to spend tonight going through those because I think it'll be really interesting, because I have at the top D&Mead Monday once a month. Make this as a reminder to future Victor to see how far I've come. So before I get into that Word document, I just want to catch y'all up on this last month of D&Me. 2020 is really me experimenting to see how I can make D&Me a business, like treat it with the proper respect, because it's $1 million idea. And I've just been focusing on like content, but now over the past couple months, I've been figuring out branding and merchandise. And if you see my... Ooh, I'm going to grab this, for example. Excuse me. If you see the spread of all of the videos that I've done 50 videos. This will be the 51st video for D&Me. But here is 2022, so it's me doing a couple of the episodes, but then I also started D&' Artistry, and then D& Recaps, and some more D&Me extras. So I'm really focusing on more video content. It's a hard sell to ask people to watch a D&D show that's 30 episodes in, so I'm making D& Recaps to help out with that. I'm reaching out to friends to help with like business mindset and figuring out the like what else I can be doing. I talked to goat versus fish, fish versus goat. I knocked something over on my desk, but they are a big Twitch user. And so I'm asking them how to do Twitch better. I figure I'm only using about 1% of Twitch, so I'm going to learn about emotes. I keep saying that, but, you know, emotes and, like, cheering and rating and all of the cool things, because I have a really good handle on, like, doing a thing, but actually interacting with y'all, that's something I want to work on. So I'm excited for that. How I can treat D&Medias better, like when to post what, and then figuring out daily like hashtags, because one of my other new friends is the D&Medias coordinator for like a film festival and a bunch of other stuff. So they are helping me figure out, like, on Thursdays they have the hashtag TTRPG Rising, which is the tabletop role game community. And if you have either 750 or 1,000, if you have fewer than those for your follower count, then you can promote your stuff, and then people like follow you and retweet your stuff and interact. So that's really cool. And it's really cool to see how all that grows. Oh, actually, I can spend a little time right here figuring out my numbers for today, because I have a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet right here. And I pretty much daily nowadays, figure out what my viewer count is, what my follower count, subscriptions and stuff, because today's March 14th, but on March 10th, across my Excel spreadsheet, I had a new follower in every category, which is very rare. I've only had 3 of those in my almost 8 months here for D&Me. So that's celebration. So let's go through this today. But while doing that, I'm trying to figure out how to multitask better. But a lot of change, as always. Really focusing. I have a huge 20-page document full of notes of what I do want to do for D&Me eventually, and figuring out how to prioritize that and then divide it up into. That's really difficult, but I think it's ultimately rewarding. For example, like I think it was Sunday. So yesterday, I figured out that having a Discord would be really helpful. So Discord is like a gatherer of like a community. So for example, Dungeons and Daddies have their own Discord. So that's a thing. And then if you have certain groups, we almost played with having our own Dungeons and Dragons Discord of like my group, so that it would be easier to talk, but it turned out to be a lot. But for a whole show, I think it'll be cool. And I have my Twitch dashboard up right now, so I'm looking at myself. I'm just going to poke up and then poke down because there's like a 20-second delay. That's so funny. I love it. Okay, so I have 86 followers. And then 1,112 views. So hello people, I have 2 viewers right now, so thank you. Come along. I have 5 subscribers. That's Twitch. For YouTube, I have 50 subscribers. 1,085 views. And then for Facebook, I have 37 followers. Hey! That one rarely goes up, so that's exciting to see. Boop. On Instagram. Boom, 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 boom. Instagram, I have 126 followers. Cool. On Twitter, I have 169 followers. Nice. Hey! Hot dog, that's a big increase. It was 163 4 days ago, so 6 people following me on Twitter. That's awesome. Thank y'all. Whenever I see new people, the Reckless Troubadour. Is that how you pronounce it? Favorite pie? Gotta go with cherry pie. Yummy dessert. I saw a very good. Thank you for contributing in the chat, Reckless. I saw a great like cherry pie picture that I was thinking about having as my background, but then I would have had cherry pie behind me the whole time, which that's a little slimy and satisfying and maybe not great to look at. So I decided to go with this nice little baked tiny mini pies. So 169 followers now on. Oh, someone just followed me. Hot dog. On Twitter. That's great. And then go into my link tree. That's linktr.ee/DnMeAdventures and like gnome. Oh, like that. Lol. Though to be honest, can you really go wrong with any kind of pie? That's a good question. I don't know what rhubarb pie tastes like, but that is going to be my vote for maybe worst pie. Pumpkin pie is great. Sweet potato pie is great. Pecan pie is good in small amounts because it's just candied nuts. Apple pie. Key lime pie is great. What's a not good one? Meat pies. Well, okay, for meat pies, Sweeney Todd's is, yes, you can go wrong with that type of meat pie. Oh man, I should have a list of like the lyrics to the meat pie song from Sweeney Todd. That'd be fun. 108 listens on my podcast, which is excellent. I have another friend who is helping me out editing the podcast, just going through and doing an take where they take out all my ums or uhs or likes or so's or and thens. So that's really generous. They volunteered to do that. So thank you, Anna Bowder. But yeah, as Linktree is not really loading, I'm going to go into my Word document of D&Me notes that never were. That's a good title. D&Me notes that never were. Where I write down some ideas for D&Me, and then our boys go off in a different direction. Or, again, I find something that's a little bit better. So, let's see. Bad Gateway. All right, one more time. Let's see. What is one of my... Ooh, this is good. This is good. I'm going to roll for it. Also, this is my one time I can say it per stream nowadays, but I'm really tired. This was a really tiring week after a really tiring week. So, I just pretty much have been trying to sleep for the past couple of days. But I'm glad to be here. Okay, now I'm going to put these in a number list so that I can roll a d20 and then see what I'm going to talk about, because I have a lot of different talking points, but I do want to... And then this. Oh, this is going to be good. All right. So I will roll a d20, and then I will roll from my collection of unbalanced dice, because for my stream, I want to have the purest numbers that I can. I want the Breaking Bad blue meth of pure numbers. So I have balanced dice, and then these are unbalanced dice, where it doesn't really matter. Let's see. Blue meth. 1720. So, pick out one of these. This is a bit... What's a pie color? Ooh. My dad for Christmas got me a set of dice that are very nice, like this, and he says that those are his favorite. And some nice yellow ones for a nice golden crust. 10! All right. Okay. Oh, okay. That is very applicable. So, I have here, just print the hero forges of my characters because they will always be adjusting. Yes, this past episode, actually, episode 30, which is called... C-word. That's what it is. Yep. I showed these hero forges that my friend Scott, a friend of show, printed. That's Tipsy. This is Onyx with his ice anchor and dreadlocks. Here is Rock the Half-Orc Wizard, whose voice I am really proud of. I was not proud of it for a while, but I think it is distinct now. Because at the beginning it was too familiar to Toot Toot, but it's in a high register, and it's subtle, but I think it is quite different and uniquely rock, which I'm very happy for. And then Toot Toot. But then I delayed a while from purchasing the STLs. So for Hero Forge, you can go onto their website, heroforge.com, and then you can make your own 3D models of like your miniatures of your characters, so that you can either have them printed out and send it to you either in like plastic or colored plastic. Recently they did a Kickstarter, or like rose gold for Valentine's Day, which was very sweet, and like in metal. But I was delaying for a while because you can also buy the digital files so that you can print it out on your own 3D printer. And I need to remember to send Cole those files so that he can print them himself, and he wants to paint them because he wants to explore art some more. So do that, Cole. It'll be great. So I was delaying in buying them, though. I was like, okay, so I will wait until the next couple episodes where they get their silver mantles. So they had Onyx had mantles made of the silver dragon hide. But I was like, okay, so in this episode, or maybe the next one, and it turned out to be like a couple episodes from the point where I thought of this. And I was like, okay, so after they get the silver mantles, and then that will be like their group symbol that they all wear. But it was just not happening. And then after a couple weeks, I was like, okay, so do I just keep wearing it? And then the conflict of Tipsy not wearing his silver mantle, and I was like, oh gosh, dang it, that's a complication. So after a while, like, I was like, you know what, Victor, just print them at a good point, because in episode 31, in the episode this Wednesday, they might completely change again. Well, in fact, they did change, because these are their winter outfits, and now it's canonically spring, so they've already changed. But some things you just need to do, because if you wait for the perfect moment never happens. So you just need to kind of in the same vein of art is never finished, it's abandoned, which is the pessimistic way to figure it out. But like, I was like, Victor, you just need to do it for you. And so that really helped. And then I did it, and then I don't think this week, but the week previous, then I went to go pick them up, and then they look amazing, and I'm so glad. But the really great thing is that I have a tipsy one, and then an onyx one already, and then a couple toot-toots, but I didn't have a rock. So if I kept waiting for the perfect moment, then I wouldn't have a rock. And now I have an amazing rock figurine. So that in itself is worth it. God, he looks so good. Man, I will not use my tax refund to get a 3D printer. I said that in another episode, but I will not use my tax refund to get a 3D printer. Oh man, today, y'all, I tried to get okay, thank you, Rock. I tried to get a new phone, but not like the newest phone, because I don't want to spend $1,000 for something that'll be obsolete in 2 years. It's hard to get like an iPhone 11. Like iPhone 13s are the new one now, and I don't want that. I have an iPhone 6 right now, and people make fun of me for it, and it hurts my feelings. So I'm trying to get like an iPhone 11, and that shit's hard. Like, I went to Best Buy, and I went on Apple stores and AT&T's and stuff. Like, they don't make it easy. So that was a hassle today. Oi. And then I need to get my car oil and lubed. But that's stuff that I need to do, not right here, right now. At D&Mead like the drink, where tonight is non-alcoholic, so I'm just enjoying some apple juice. Okay, all right, buddy. The thing about these potion bottles, they're amazing, but they're so small. Like, I want like 2 more of these of apple juice. So that was great. Just print the hero forges of my character, because they will always be adjusting. Yeah. And that's kind of like life, huh? If you're waiting for the perfect moment, then it may never happen. And so how much time did you waste waiting? So sometimes you just kind of do it and go into it, and then that's a great example, because I have a couple sheets that I hesitated starting or typing up and printing, because I was like, well, this could change in like a week. And that's kind of like, I want to be efficient. So I want to wait until I get all my ideas down. But sometimes for me, the only ways to get new ideas down is by printing it and then holding it, the tangible sheet of paper in my hand, and then looking at it and going, oh, well, there's a glaring error right there, which I wouldn't have seen from the glare of the computer screen. So that is another example. I have a bunch of those pages. Sheet of paper. I recently told my friend, so one of my new roommates is from England, from Great Britain, from the United Kingdom, and we were talking about just language, and then I told him that my dad's from Mexico, and so when he came over, he works for IBM, and so he was like, all right, so turn to this shit of paper, and then everyone just kind of giggled, and he's like, what? Oh, shit, sheet of paper, which is very funny. So, yeah, I wouldn't have noticed some of those details on that sheet of paper without actually having gone, you know what? This will be draft 1. So then I print it, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so draft 2. That was good. I liked it. 1 down. I have 21 others of that category, and then for the podcast, I have another kind of category. Oh, interesting. You know what? Speaking of rock, let's do this. So for rock here, my half-orc wizard, I played 3 episodes of rock before taking him under the D&Me wing. So it was 3 episodes because, good Lord. Good Lord have mercy. Why do people get those cars? I don't get it. Just give me a nice Prius. Just like the wind. For my bank robbery, so they'll never... No, I'm kidding. Stealth mission. Anyways, for rock, one of my best friends, Peter O'Neill... I don't know if I'm allowed to say his ad, but he's never played Dungeons & Dragons before, so I played Tipsy and Onyx, and I wanted him to play, mostly because I wanted to play, because both of them, by this point, their campaigns kind of fizzled out. So I had one of his friends. Oh, my lord. Get out of here. Go far away. Fast. I had one of Peter's friends, who is a game master, make a campaign for just us two, so me and Peter. And then that game master didn't really like running... It was too weird of a challenge just having 2 people for a D&Me. Well, a D&D. And look at me. 1 person. So, after 3 games, and that kind of fizzled out. So, Rock at the beginning, he was a typical orc, so the lower jaw was extended, and then and a police siren now, they're probably going after that car. Dude, how funny would that be? Okay, how awful would it be if both the siren and the loud car, like the siren pulled over the loud car right outside my window, and we heard both of them? That would be bad. Anyways, so Rock, because the lower jaw extended because of his, like, tusks and stuff, I had this voice, which, in order to accommodate, to balance out the jaw, then I had him speak rather articulately. But doing that for any amount of time for the Twitch show would have been hell. And it was hell for the first episode. And then I was like, oh, I need to change that right now. So then after I brought back my jaw, then that is exactly Toot Toot's voice. So Rock's different voice all fell down to Toot Toot's voice, and I was like, well, nuts. So I changed him to the more heady. It was no bass, but now it has a British tinge to it, like LaCroix, or fruit flavoring, but it's higher, and it's kind of the same height as Tipsy, but Tipsy is kind of back here. And I guess in the back there a little bit, but yeah. And then Rock is more forward and coming out of the forehead. So that's interesting. And so that's how Rock has kind of developed over D&Me so far. But here in my D&Me notes, before figuring all that out on stream and in the show, then I had, when I was first creating Rock, and an interesting flavor is that when you make a character, then you can 16 pages of backstory. But it all changes as soon as you step into their skin and play that first game. And you're like, oh, he's actually not a badass. He's just hurt or whatever. Or oh, he's not... like this one detail that I thought would completely define the character, that actually all this matters a lot more. So you won't know unless you actually start playing as them. So for Rock, my notes that I had before were Orc Wizard, seen and not seen, visible and invisible, because it wasn't until the second or third episode that we played Rock before the show that he has an illusion wizard. He was just a wizard, so it wasn't really illusion until then he first cast his first invisibility spell and did some awesome stuff, and I was like, oh, that was scary. Oh, like invisibility. So like that as a dichotomy, as a kind of way of life, as a solution to problems, I was like, that's really fascinating. And then I think in another something, there's 51 videos now, so they all kind of blend together. But in another video, I said that the group that I was DMing last year, if they had like a subtitle, it would be Invisible and Immortal. And we didn't get to like those big tropes, the big themes, but they were like being weaved underneath. It was a reservoir underneath the surface, an underground river of like theme and motif. And I was like, oh. So Rock, so Orc Wizard, seen and not seen, visible and invisible. And then I have purple, big and purple, like Grimace, the chicken nugget looking guy from McDonald's. And that didn't turn out so much because now Rock is like a very svelte. He's kind of like, he has the orcish build, so like the skeleton and the musculature, but he's not like ripped as Onyx or Toot Toot. Let's get that pie question out of here. Yeah. So, in fact, Rock himself, I wanted like, not really a pencil figurine, but I wanted him, for me drawing it, like it comes down to a point, which is fun. But I wanted him to have like a very thin silhouette. And then over the days, weeks and stuff, a couple weeks ago, well, no, a couple months by now, I was like trying to cast my boys, and I thought Stephen Colbert would be really, really good as Rock, my half-orc wizard. So, Stephen Colbert, answer my emails. No. I'm doing a thing where for D&Artistry, I am not going to watch those back, because me rewatching those 2 hours, or in the case of the last video, like 6 hours back, that's a lot for Victor. And I do want to make sure I do the best product, so the first 47 episodes I did of content, like I did a rewatch them just to get a sense of like what turns out good or what I need to work on. But for D&Artistry, I'm like, there's no way I can just hear like random Photoshop clicks for 10 minutes and then me saying a quip. So while I do the D&Artistries, then I take notes during it so that I can go, okay, well, I can go back at these time codes and clip the best bit. So for all of the D&Meads up to this point, then I would rewatch them. But now that I'm doing other streams also, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, for the 6 other D&Meads, I would go back and rewatch them. But nowadays, I just can't do that. So I'm taking notes during. So that'll keep me more in the present, which is fun. But I write down the time codes. Anyways, big and purple Grimace, gentle, soft-spoken, calm. Yeah, he's gentle. He's calm, even though in the book they suggest that orcs, half-orcs specifically, they're very emotional. Like, they have heightened emotions, kind of when Onyx gets angry. But that's kind of rage. Oh. But that orcs like feel emotions heavier than other people. So that's kind of empath-y. But he's not really doing that. He's a very analytical guy, and I like recently he's developed a the big oversized leather chair, the overstuffed, and he kind of stammers. That's fun when he's flustered. Stammers when he's flustered. That's good. Stammers when he's flustered. Stammers when he's flustered. Stammers when he's flustered. You know what? I'll just write that down instead, because I'm trying to get rid of this document. Flustered rock. All right. And then I also have Big Guy from Mulan Po, I think his name was, where I was trying to think big, but a gentle giant, like a big old softy. So, like Pandaren people. What is that guy's name? Mulan characters. Let's see. List of Mulan characters. Wikipedia. Well, ding dang. Mulan. I'm the best. Dude, you can stop. Honor to us all. Reflection. I'll make a man out of you. Bum, 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 be a man. Chien Po. I think that's it. From Mulan. Yeah. Chien Po. Yao Ling and Chien Po. They were so good. Who was Chien Po in the 2020 one? I did not see the 2020 Mulan. But I know Jimmy Wong's in it. Look at him. Oh, was he? Oh, that's sweet. He was one of those guys. So that's great. So, that, and then also all of these are kind of, they didn't really work out for rock. So I'm like moving them over to my character that I'm playing now in When Can We Play. They're doing a new campaign for a tabletop role-playing game called Vaesen, which is about Scandinavian monsters, and it's kind of like Monster of the Week kind of feel to it. And he is Olafur, speaking very much in the Jarl from Skyrim voice, which is great. But he's actually receptive of like gentle, soft-spoken, calm, real big guy. And Thingama, which was my character from Blades in the Dark, he was clean-shaven, but he had wild, scraggly, wiry white hair, and but in the juxtaposition inverse of that, then Olafur is bald, but he has a big old bushy beard. So I will send the art right now to my I just got some texts. I asked Peter O'Neill, if he's still addicted to TikTok, because TikTok might be a pretty good tool for D&Me. Ha ha ha. And he went, no. Yes. So, haha, I might need your help with D&Me TikTok. Boop. All right. So I will send. Oh, I can airdrop it. It's funny because airdrop will work from my phone to my new laptop, but not my phone to my old laptop for reasons. And then there he is. Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to show. No, they showed. They showed. So And then I can airdrop from my new laptop to my old laptop if I try really hard. Which is what I end up doing. Oh. Ooh, what was that noise? Was that the thing? Is that trying to... What? Okay. No, it's doing it. So. I have a whole swarm of loud cars outside right now. This is bonkers. They heard me. They're coming for me. They're going to scale the walls. That's how I live on the 3rd floor, but they're going to scale up the walls to get me. A swarm of cars. That's pretty funny because I also say sirens on them for D&Me. And I'm like, oh no, the sirens. But that's pretty good. All right, so my character for when can we play Vassin? Oliver. And he's a real big guy. So he's kind of like the gentle giant of like... But the ring is on the left hand, so that's important to note. The art, guess who did the art? That is Bradley Owens, who did the theme song for D&Me. So, fabulous. Fabulous stuff. All right, take that down. So that's cool that my ideas for the character are still being used if for a new character. That's great. So it's important to write stuff down. Krog. Korg? Krog. Is his name Krog? From Thor Ragnarok? Krog and Rock. Is it Krog? That sounds weird now. Krog Street? Krog from Thor. Korg, that's why. Okay, I spelled it wrong. Korg. Man, that was like a Berenstein Bears or Berenstein Bears moment. Krog. Swarm of cars. Oh. And then I do want to write all this down in rock. My roommates are out and about. They're gonna head off to go do a thing later, and then one of the other character references I have is that the maesters from Game of Thrones. So that's kind of why he wears robes all the time. Not necessarily the chains of all the links, which is really cool of the different material, but that's neat. And then maester. So Sheen is kind of one of the maesters from Game of Thrones. That's that flavor. And then the last two notes for Rock here, going back to half-orcs being really emotional. Very emotional and hating elves kind of went by the wayside. So that, according to maybe racist material, then half-orcs would just hate elves because of some lore. So that was never really applicable to Rock. A very emotional kind of isn't being a Rock thing. Tutu gets kind of furious sometimes, which is interesting. And then and then Onyx, of course. And then the last one, Rock really using his arcane focus to calm down if he gets too angry. Him and Onyx with rage. So if I did lean more into the emotional bit, and now that I'm talking about it out loud, then it might bleed into some Rock later on, but it hasn't shown itself really in the first 30 episodes here. But yeah, I was gonna have him use his arcane focus to like really calm down, because half orcs are really temperamental, according to like the player's handbook. So that's really interesting. But it's kind of more Onyx's deal of being super, super angry and figuring out his rage and anger, which is really cool because like Victor doesn't get mad, but when he does, when it builds, my dad is also like, it takes a long time for him to get angry, and then it takes a long time for him to cool off. So, like, that's me also. Like, it takes a lot. Either that or, like, if I don't eat all day, then it gets steeper. But, so that's Rock. There you go, buddy. I talked about you. I wanted to... Those were excellent notes, and I was like, you know what? I do want to talk about them, but in his own space. So here we go. Here in a couple minutes, I was gonna see if the second here was not as squeaky and puberty voice cracking, but it was. I'm gonna get a refill on my apple juice because it's yummy, and I want some more. And hey, I'm not tipsy and like going, okay, so hey man, being tipsy is all great. Oh, I should use Tipsy's rat shot glass that I got for Christmas. Thank you, the cat and the stars. So thank you for watching this D&Mead like a drink. It's the first non-alcoholic one, and it feels pretty great so far. I wanted to talk about stuff and share stories that I'm really liking D&Artistry, because me sitting here talking right now to myself is fun, but me doing art and talking for that's more fun for me. But D&Mead like a drink is kind of like longer stories, because I can do quips and stuff for D&Artistry, but like me dissecting all that rock stuff, that would have been very difficult if I was also photoshopping the "Let's all go to the lobby" pre-show. So that's the difference. I like it. Victor, there is a difference. Difference. D&Artistry. D&Me like the drink. Because I was also wondering, like, why do I have two kind of talk shows where I can talk during the art stream? But no, it is different. So for other times, I could get drunk right now, which I still need to read the Twitch rules to see if that's actually a thing. Okay, I've heard that as long as I don't get smashed, then that'll be fine. But this one, however, is straight vodka. So a swarm of loud cars. That's pretty funny. I've come up with some good ideas for D&Meads and D&Artistry. Also, it says that I have a viewer up, but hey, something I'm learning for Twitch, there are like communicative viewers who will participate in the chat, and then there are lurkers who will just watch. So my one viewer right now, thank you for watching. I appreciate the company. You do not have to chat if you do not want. I respect that. Just throwing what's your favorite pie back up there? Mine is D&Me pumpkin. Answer in the chat. That's cute. That's a cute little thing. And then have Rock up there. Toot, you get so much attention. I'm going to move. Ooh! You're welcome. I was busy eating supper. Well, no, I appreciate it, Reckless. Admiral Blue has a bunch to talk. Like, they really brag about you. So I'm loving the new community so far. And I will definitely ask y'all about Discord, because I mentioned that earlier. And it's really intimidating and overwhelming and a lot. But just for a lot of other stuff here in D&Me, if I break it down, then it's more easily digestible. Like pie. Like cherry pie or pumpkin pie. So that was nice. D&Me notes that never were. Last month, I did my D&Mead like the drink, and it was February 14th, or Valentine's Night edition, where D and DJ Love was spinning the discs and playing the sexiest royalty-free music. And I was very tired last month doing that one, so it wasn't as groundbreaking as I hoped it was. But here in my notes that never were, Toot Toot should guest host that. So it'll be Dean, DJ Love, and Toot Toot. Well, that sounds like a whole like early morning radio talk show. The Reckless Troubadour says in the chat, yeah, it can be, and we'd be happy to help out with whatever you'd like. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I will ask you a bunch of questions when I figure out what to ask. It's kind of a I don't know what I don't know at this point. But yes, soon. Thank you, new friend. Thank you. High five. Or eating for supper, excuse me. And if the answer isn't a form of pie, then Reckless, what are you doing? You are reckless if you're not eating some type of pie today. Dessert better be pie. All right, let us roll for our next topic. I get it. I've been learning a bunch myself lately. When, how did you start Discord? Unless you're like a lifelong learner and you've been doing it for a while. But I had a friend like 10 months ago teach me about Discord a little bit, and then I got super overwhelmed, but I have those notes somewhere. Lol, we are having pizza from a local place. Pizza pie, you are correct. Good job. You threaded the needle. All right, rolling for my next topic, two show channel trailer. Yeah, I can do that. Do I have the channel trailer still on this? Excuse me. I do not. So, my channel trailer. Oh. No, I don't think I do. I don't think it's on this laptop. But my channel trailer, if you go onto YouTube or if you first go into Twitch, then I will have a minute, it's more like 50 seconds, of me yelling at you. So, hi, I'm Victor Rivera, and this is D&Me, where I play with myself. I play D&D with myself. This is an actual play podcast, 5th edition, where I DM and play 4 characters of my campaign's past. Introduce yourself, boys. Hi, I'm Tipsy the Forest Gnome Rogue. I like stealing and stuff, and I have a rat named Waddles. Is it working? I'm Onyx the Dwarf Barbarian. I like hitting things. Salutations, I am Rock the Half-Orc Wizard. I love learning and magic and spells. And I am Toot Toot the Loxodon Bard. And I tickle the ivories. Ha ha ha, it's a Loxodon joke. We stream Wednesdays nights. Oh, I remembered a lot more of that than I thought I did. That's great. But I need to make a new trailer, actually, because I have D and Artistry. And D&Mead like a drink. And D and Recaps. I'll edit the video in later. But, you know, that was pretty good. So I need to do that, and then I need to make a new intermission where it talks about all those things. But I need to film it. Instead of me doing my reels, because I have my theatrical reel, which is my TV and movies, and then my commercial reel, and then some of my voiceover work, and my motion capture stuff, which is great for Victor, but I really think to make it a more cohesive product, that the intermission should be a commercial for D&Me. Because I'm not really selling Victor as the product, I'm selling the game as the product, like the game as a product. So that's interesting. So I will maybe do like a 2-minute intermission. I'll have to write it and record it. That's appears multiple time in my notes where it's like, hey, Victor, so do this. The Reckless Troubadour. I've had a server for my home D&D game since shortly after COVID started, but about 3 weeks ago, we started our new collaboration server, and I've been doing a bunch of work on that. That's amazing. Congratulations. The Reckless Troubadour, we interact on the D&Medias, but what are your products? Like, I actually don't really know, and I'd love for you to talk about yourself a little bit if you want. You don't have to, but I'd love to know more about you. So, ooh, that sounds like a big truck. It'll be great if, like, in another 2 years' times, I can go, that's a Max 16-wheeler, V54 engine, clothing and teddy bears coming from Arizona. So, so channel trailer, yeah, you can see that on YouTube. It'll be the first video that pops up if you have not been to my page before, but if you have, then I think it shows the latest D&Me video as the featured video. I think. Let me look that up real quick. And then here in a minute, at 8, that'll be a clean stop, where I will play one of my intermissions that aren't my intermission that I wrote. As I get more apple juice and some more water. Because this is a nice D&Mead like the drink where I'm not feeling buzzed. Yeah, so featured, okay, so channel trailer for people who haven't subscribed. It's Welcome to D&Me, which is the channel trailer. Featured video for returning subscribers is episode 30 right now, which is She-Ward. C-Ward. That one's a hard one. 50 videos. That's incredible. So this is 51. Let me try my link tree again. My admin. Because I do want to see those numbers. Ooh. That was pretty loud and excited. You tease. You're like, oh, I'm just going to take my time. All right, 362 clicks on my link tree, which is, or no, views. And then clicks is 211. Yay, that's growth, baby. Yeah. Perfect. And also, Reckless, I thought when you said you've had a server, I was like, oh, the server at the pizza place. Like a wait staff. And I was like, no, read more of it, Victor. So I will delete show channel trailer. Look, we talked about 2 of the things in the document that I never ever get to. 3 things, including the rock description at the end. So I will actually take this time to use the restroom and get... That was my tummy, not my butt. So I will go get more drink, and I encourage you to grab a glass of something good and join me as we chat about how D&Me's going so far. So I will do the new theatrical and voiceover reel. Yes.
I mean, I hate to bring it up because you're upset and all, but why exactly are we going to cut up a bloodstained carpet? Is somebody we know the pot calling the kettle black? It wasn't doing anybody any good 6 feet under the ground. And don't think I didn't consult Savini about the specifics. It is his baby. He gave me detailed instructions on how to remove a few of the Rice Krispies, and you don't really want to hear that. Of course not! Well, yeah, actually. He donated his remains to science fiction. Don't think I'll ever forget it.
Great. Just so you guys know, there's no group sex. Okay, fine, group sex.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's how we made these cool little peace thingies.
Civil War general, you must know how to fight?
Sure. Poverty, sexism, social injustice.
There's only one thing we can do.
Group sex, right? No. We'll fight then.
I am looking for,
Brian, he's not here today. Sorry, we can't give that out. You could leave him a note. I think he works again next week.
Now what? Nice to meet you. It'll be good not to be the new kid. A little over a month.
How about we start with the lab?
Really incredible stuff. I know. They seem like fairy tales, right? Way further off. I was shocked to find out how far along they were, too. Phase 1? It was tiny. 30? Yeah. It's no way to do large science, but for the company's purposes, I guess it was fine. I mean, they already knew the drug worked. I don't know. I'm new here, too, remember? Nobody tells me anything I don't need to know. Here is the break room. Best snacks in the building. Jack? Looking for you, actually. What are you doing on my computer, Jack? I don't have access to any archival stuff. Plus, it wouldn't be on this computer. I mean, the server? Probably need to go through HR to... I was just needing to finish this round.
get out.
Of course. Well, here's the conquering hero back from the wars. How was it? You look like you went pretty hard. Really leaning into the Vegas thing, huh? Well, pound some coffee, my man. Max has called us all into the bullpen. He just got in. Big announcement, looks like. Shit's moving, man. Now. See you in there. You need me? Holy shit. What happened? From shut-eye? Yeah, his pupils look normal. Where'd he hit? No blood. He'll probably have a crick in his neck from the way you had him lying. For what? His headache? Jack! Jack!
Wait,
Jack!
Fine.
Are we gonna talk about my department? Jesus. Max,
Thank you so much, Eddie.
You're welcome. His pulse is a little high. How you feeling, Jack? Cassandra?
Yes?
You can all go to hell. No way. I thought I was definitely gonna not make it back in time.
But yeah, I missed it by like seconds. Okay. Yes, for my intermission, I will definitely do like 2-minute long so that I can give myself a little bit of time. Oh. And hello. I got Mowato, even though it doesn't look like it at all. Dude, I love my green screen. It's so good. Like, that is seamless. You can't tell, because here's a line, and then there's a line, and then there's a... Oh. Well, you can't see that, though, because Toot Toot's blocking it. And even more, the pie is blocking it. So, what's your favorite pie? Answer in the chat. Man, I'm so cute. And then I have more urine. I mean, regular apple juice. The potions that they have at the Battle and Brew, they have a whole bunch of edible glitter in it, so you can swirl it around, and it's pretty cool. It makes the bathroom adventure... Oh, I didn't even check today, because I had it yesterday. LOL. Well, I do stream on Twitch, but I haven't been on in a couple of weeks due to live stuff. And we are in the process of getting an actual play channel / series up and running. Other than that, working on the collaboration server. Well, excellent. I hope, Reckless, that all of your live stuff is not reckless. That I hope it's all getting better. And we are in the process of getting an actual play channel series set up and running. That's awesome. Will it be D&D as well? I heard from Admiral that they like D&D. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. So, the necklace Troubadour, which is another note in my big old list of notes, because in order for me to, because one of my goals is that I want to be a Twitch partner, but I still don't know a lot about Twitch. So in order for Victor to earn being a Twitch partner, because I have the amount of days streaming in a row, I have the amount of hours built up, but out of the 75 average viewers, I have a average of like, saying less than 2 is, but in order for me to really gain that, then I need to watch more Twitch channels. So you are on the list. I wrote it down. The Reckless Troubadour is handsome. Wait a second. Who wrote that last bit there? But yes, I do want to check out other, because I don't know about bits and emotes and rating and really what subscribing's about, or like gifts, or I don't. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot. But ooh, did it blink out? Twitch did something squirrely, but I think we're still live. Cool. So, let's roll again for... This is great. I'm burning through these, and I never really give it time to go through. So, Toot Toot should guest host D&Me. Where can I put that? That's not here. I don't know. I have in my notes my D&D shelves, which is I have this wonderful shelf that's just D&D, devoted to D&D, and I need to take a picture and then show it to y'all. Let me actually put that underneath the... I have here somewhere, like... Oh, these are all part of the same thing. Of, like, showing my setup. I should do that in the same night. Where is that? I'll look for it a little bit here. I have so many... Show pictures of my setup. That's great. Oh, you know what? Even better. Okay, and then D&D shelves. Yeah, baby. Show my recording setup, taping setup, and then D&D shows. Perfect. The Reckless Troubadour says, "Oh, it's nothing bad, just been busy, and we are currently focused on D&D, but we'll definitely want to expand and include other tabletop role-playing game systems as well." Well, as kind of a self-promotion dealie, check out When Can We Play? So When Can We Play, WCPW, but I think When Can We Play all spelled out. And that is my friend's channel that I'm one of the featured actors for. And so we played Blades in the Dark, which is great by John Harper is who wrote it, and then like Evil Hat Productions or something. Now we're playing Vassin. My GM, the unfriendly GM, Edwin, he really wants to honor like smaller indie tabletop role-playing games. So for a week, I think once every year at least, then he does a GM burnout where he plays 5 different role-playing games in 5 days. And he GMs them. So I helped I participated in a bunch of them this past burnout, but it was D&D, then Morkborg, which is a real violent endeavor. We also played Blades in the Dark. I did those 3, but he also did Alien RPG. He likes playing those. He does that for paid games because you can hire him as a professional GM, which is awesome. And then Chroma, which is like a cool LGBTQIA plus fantasy thing where pretty much the darkest thing is that the bad guys bleed out rainbows that you can collect for magical ink, which is great. So, yeah. So, again, When Can We Play? I think that's one of the only channels that I have like, if you're not watching DnMeAdventures, check out When Can We Play? So yeah, no, tell him Victor sent you, and then he'll go, okay. No, but he's a great guy. So thank you for the support, Reckless. Yeah, Admiral is super supportive, and this is turning out to be an excellent friendship also. And thank you for the follow 4 days ago. I see that right there in my little activity feed. So, good times. Enjoying the present. That is something I am practicing a lot this year especially, and so far so great. Yeah, Admiral is pretty awesome. Yes, they are. Let's go back to my list. You got D&D shelves. Also, some of my running D&Mead things is to come up with the D&Mead cheers, like to D and us or to D and we, but mine is always cheers, my dears, which is fun. And then for the acronym PBR, but a fantasy PBR. So we have fantasy beer something, but fantasy is spelled with a PH, and then bugbeer, which I mean, that'll sell t-shirts right there. I might do that for the D&R industry. So, let's roll again, shall we? Ooh, maybe if I combine. Well, nuts. What is this? Oh. What is happening? Yeah, that's what I want. My Microsoft Word document is just not having it. I'm surprised I'm not drinking out of a bugbeer mug right now. I know, right? I have... Well, I need to absolutely shut this right now. Excuse me a second. I need to dig around. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Hey! That didn't do anything. Great. So, I showed this in one of the first, maybe 4 episodes of D&Me, but I have a Beholder beer holder. That's right, ladies and gentlemen and adventurers. You too can have a customized koozie where it's a Beholder beer holder made out of koozies. So that's definitely on my D&R artistry, and I definitely want to do art of it and then put it on merch. But let me drop it real quick. A Beholder beer holder. So bugbeer is absolutely next. What's other? Ooh, so I have a DnMeAdventures. I don't think that's how you pronounce it, but the drinking guide, the unofficial drinking guide for D&D. But I also play a game, and I'm very good at it, where I take two categories and put them together and then see how many of that combination I can come up with. For example, I did a show, like a theater show, and then backstage as my like mental entertainment and activity to keep myself not taking naps was I came up with food and animal like combinations, and I came up with like 100. So I was very good at that. And then for Christmas one year, I gave my sister a paperback, like one of the small like romance novel sized books, but it was like a drinking guide. And so it had like how to do an old fashioned. But I went through and then I did the same thing where it was drinks, but also Hamilton characters or people who worked on the musical Hamilton or song titles. And I came up with like a list of 150, and I gave it to her for Christmas, and it's one of the best things I've ever made. But now we are going to do one where it's for the Monster Manual, and this will definitely be good. So I will write down this time code right now because this will be good. Monster drinks. So Bug Beer is great. Beholder beer holder. So from the Monster Manual, we have the index. I'll just go through them quickly and then anything that jumps out. Aarocolcra, Aboleth, Absinthe, Aboleth. There we go. Angels. Animated objects. Onceg. Well, there we go. Onceg. Victor? Onceg. Azer. Azir. Banshee. Basilisk. Bahir. I mean, that's kind of beer. What's a Bahir? 25. Page 25. Ooh, what's that guy? That's a Bahir. A beer. The serpentine Bahir crawls along floors and clambers up walls to reach its prey. Its lightning breath can incinerate most creatures, even as more powerful foes are constricted in its coils and eaten alive. A Bahir's monstrous form resembles a combination of centipede and crocodile. Its scaled hide ranges from ultramarine to deep blue in color, fading to pale blue on its underside. Ooh, Bahir. Great beer. Beholder's beer hold. Blights. Oh, a flight of something. Oh, speaking of which, I don't remember if I did this. I don't think I did, but for a D and artistry, I wanted to make like a flight of 4 different drinks that are my boys. So tipsy would just be like 5 shots of something, but like what Onyx, Rock, and Toot Toot drinks would be. If I could find a mixologist. Victor. All right, this is a very important little bit here because, yeah, I should find a mixologist on Twitter or something to collaborate with. That'll be fun. Bugbears, bullet. Ooh, isn't there like a bourbon that's called a bullet bourbon? Bullywug, Cambion, Carrion Crawler. Isn't most of it's just me asking questions. Isn't like you get it's a growler of beer, which is like the 16 ounce or like big 32 ounce somethings. So Carrion Growler, Centaur, Chimera, Chul. Is that how you pronounce it? Chul. What's a chul? Oh yeah, yes, bullet bourbon. Yeah, excellent. We're getting there. Yeah, that's a weird lobster Zoidberg. Creepy looking. Survivors of the ancient Aboleth Empire. Jewels are crustaceans the Aboleths modified and endowed with sentience. Whoa! They follow the ingrained directives of their creators as they have done since the dawn of time. One of my mustaches went out. Cloaker. Cockatrice. Coatl. Crawling Claw. Of course, the White Claw that we were talking about last D and Artistry or last D&Mead? I think it was last D&Mead, February 14th. But yeah, a white claw instead of a crying claw. Cyclops, Dark Mantle, Death Knight, Demi-Lich, Demons, something with Fireball, huh? Devils, Dinosaurs, Displacer Beast, Doppelganger, which this Wednesday for episode 31 of D&Me, there will be a doppelganger surprise at the beginning of the show. Doppelganger. Oh, isn't there a type of beer? Isn't there a type of beer that's like a Zappo something? Dracolich, Dragon, Shadow Dragon, Dragons, Dragon Turtle, Drider, like a Drider cider. Doppelganger Bach, yes, thank you. Yes, Reckless, we're on the same page. Yes, oh boy. Make a... Reckless, you want to split profits 50-50 of coming up with this tonight? A Drider cider. All right, what's a Drider? Oh, is it like a half Spider Woman? It certainly is. That's a drow Spider Woman. Well, is it a woman? I failed the Spider Queen once, never again. Feliciandra the Drider. When a drow shows great promise, Lolth summons it to the demon web pits for a test of faith and strength. Those that pass the test rise higher in the Spider Queen's favor. Those that fail are transformed into Driders, a horrid combination of a drow and a giant spider that serves as a living reminder of Lolth's power. Only drow can be turned into Driders. And the power to create these creatures resides with Lolth alone. I had a thought while reading the player's handbook about races. Like, can you have a half dark elf? A half drow? Because there's half elves. Oh, man. This is a very good 6 minutes of creation. That's very good. Because also, Reckless. Also, do I just keep calling you Reckless? Let me know your preferred name in the chat whenever you get a chance. But oh yeah, for D&Me, I eventually want to make like a D&Me supplemental guide where I write my own like races and subclasses and magical items, because I keep seeing those on Twitter of like great accounts making those, and I'm like, oh, that's very good. Like, I thought of here's a D&Mead like to drink March 14th exclusive. I was thinking of like half human of like, what would that mean? What's a half human? Because the world's already so human centric. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't have a half drow. I know, right? Like, the sunlight sensitivity would go down a little bit. The superior dark vision that drows have. Look at me fucking slinging D&D nerddom. This is great. Superior dark vision would just be normal dark vision, probably. All right. Drider cider. Dryad. That'll be like an oaky IPA. Duragar. Elementals. Elves. Drow. Empyrean. I think I couldn't say that word when Rock was reading the Empyrean. Ether Cap. All right, Ether Nightcap. There we go. Eaton. Etten. You can call me Reckless. Rec. Kev. Hey, you with the face. I'm not picky. Hey, you with the face. Kev. Rec. Reckless. Great. Fairy Dragon. Flame Skull. Flumph. That's great. I want to make a flump into something. Fomorian? Fungi? Galeb Dror, which... so I went through half of these as Rock the Half-Orc Wizard and his boo right now. But, yeah, the last time I was like, Galeb Dror, that sounds like a guy. That's a name. Gargoyle Genies. Oh, like genies in the bottle. Oh, genie's in a bottle. Well, there we fucking go. Apple juice. And not urine. That joke stopped being funny a while ago, but not to me. Ghosts, ghouls, giants, a gibbering mouther, gith, gnolls, gnome, deep gnome, severe Sneblin, goblins, golems, gorgon, grell, grick, griffin, grimlock, hags, have a great summer, half dragon, harpy, hellhound, helmed horror, hippogriff, hobgoblins, hop goblins like IPA hops, homunculus, hook horror, hydra, hydrate, intellect devourer, invisible stalker. Which one's Johnny Walker? Invisible Johnny Walker. Jackalware, kinku, kobolds, kraken. Too easy. Kautoa, lamia, lich, lizard folk, lycanthropes. All right, now for the second half of the alphabet. Magman, manticore, Medusa. I should stop saying these with question marks in them. Mephits, merfolk, marrow, mimic, mind flare, minotaur, modrons, mummies, myconids. This is great because I know a lot of D&D lore from like shows. So if some of these aren't in the shows, then I'm stabbing in the dark. Myconids, nagas, nightmare. Ooh, like Rolling Rock has a horse brand design. That might be a fun play on nightmare. Nothic, ogres, oni, oozes, boom, boozes. That's a whole, 4 pages. Boozes, oh, that's gonna be good. Like black pudding, and then orcs, yugs, owlbear, Pegasus, Periton, Piercer, Pixie, Pseudo Dragon, Purple Worm, getting the worm at the bottom of the tequila bottle, Quagoth, Rashaka, Rakshasa, Remorhaze, Revenant, Rock, something on the rocks, Roper, Rust Monster, Sahugan, Salamanders, Satyr, Scarecrow. Angry Orchard, that could be Treants. Excuse me a second. Shadow, Shambling Mound, Shield Guardian. Shield Guardian could be like coasters. That'd be funny. Skeletons. Salad. No, that Saladi. Spectre, Sphinx's Sprite. I mean, what's a drink that goes with Sprite? Like vodka? Does Sprite go with Sprite? Sturge, Succubus, Incubus. Succubus could be like straws. Tarrasque, a cask of ale? Is that a thing? Cask of ale, right? Cask of Montiago. Cask ale. Oh, cask ale or real ale. Cask ale or real ale is beer that has gone through a secondary fermentation in the vessel from which it is dispensed. The carbonation occurs naturally from the fermentation process. Okay, that's not what I really meant, but Tarrasque. Three Creen. Treant, yeah, so Angry Orchard. Troglodyte. Troll. Umberhulk. Unicorns. Vampires. Water Weird. What's a water weird? Ooh. Water weird's just like a water elemental spout kind of guy. Water weird. A water weird is an elemental guardian bound to a specific water-filled location, such as a pool or fountain. Invisible while immersed in water, its serpentine shape becomes clear only when it emerges to attack, using its coils to crush any creature other than its summoner and those its summoner declares as off-limits. When slain, a water weird becomes an inanimate pool of water. That needs to be like a big old thing of beer. That's great. I like it. Ooh, what's wine also? Wine something? Wine. White. White Claws. Will-O-Wisp. Wraith. Wyvern. Zorn. Yetis. Yonti. Yugoloths. And zombies. We came up with some pretty good stuff. Oh, and then like miscellaneous creatures and NPCs. Ape, awakened shrub, awakened tree, axebeak, baboon, badger, bat, black bear, blink dog, bloodhawk, boar, brown bear, camel, cat, constrictor snake, crab, crocodile, death dog, dead dog, deer, direwolf, draft horse. That's Budweiser, huh? Eagle, elephant, elk, flying snake, frog, giant ape, giant badger, giant bat, giant boar, giant centipede, giant constrictor snake, crab, giant crocodile, giant... Okay, well, everything giant. All right. Cool. I like it. That's a lot of good stuff for D&R Artistry. So, Victor, write all those down. Take that, future Victor, you punk. 1 hour and 10 minutes and 40 seconds into the recording, and then 1 hour and 27 minutes. So a good 17 minutes of material. That's amazing. Well, great. I love that I did that. Reckless wreck, Kev, hey you with the face. Hey you with the stars in your eyes. Something they do to you. You used to be so wise. And that's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. I was melding in 2 different songs, but they're very nice. Let's see what else I'm going to talk about. 18. All right. Yeah, this one's a good one. So, early on in D&Me, I was thinking, okay, so I have my 4 characters, and they're all going to be together pretty much all the time. So, at the very beginning, the first episode was... I give myself grace constantly for it because it was my first time doing it, and I was pretty dang nervous because I didn't know what to expect. And 30 episodes later, I know a lot better what to expect. But the first couple, I was like, okay, so then, and then this character did something, and then this character did something, and then that character did something, and then that character did something. And it felt very, like, I had to say what everyone's doing and make sure that everyone's doing something else. But over the episodes, like, they really do their own thing at their own time. So that's lovely and it fleshed out. But I was interested in playing with the form instead of like making sure that all 4 characters do something in the scene. Well, let's split it up a little bit. So I had a couple episodes, like episode 15, Books and Bones, where Rock and Onyx, God damn it, I'll never get that right. Rock and Onyx went off to do their own stuff, and then Tipsy and Toot Toot went off to do their own stuff. So I have here in my notes, try an episode from each's points of view. A Tipsy episode, a Rock episode, and a Toot Toot experimenting with form instead of having everyone do everything all the time. And I feel like I'm doing that. So I if someone has something dire to do, then I let Toot Toot have his own adventure and go down to the yawning portal, or like we cut back to Tipsy reading the manual of quickness of action for like fucking 11 episodes. So like I haven't had a full episode where it is just 2.5 hours of Tipsy, but that's interesting that I really appreciate that I have given myself the opportunity to play with the form, and it's not all 4 boys with each other at all 4 time, because in the 7 days that they've been together so far, then that's unrealistic. So I like how that has kind of happened on its own. But if I ever feel the need to do a full 2.5 hours of one of my boys, then I know I have permission to. That's a lot, though, of just one person. It'll be interesting, though. But yeah, no, I do individual scenes for the individual characters now. So whatever they need, which I like it. It feels good. Because there's also no pressure for me to make anything of this. So try an episode from each's point of view. A Tipsy episode, an Onyx, a Rock, and a Toot Toot, experimenting with form instead of having everyone do everything all of the time. Because, yeah, a couple scenes, then it was like 3 out of my 4 boys went into the forest. So, yeah, I've done that. But not, it's kind of scary to have a whole episode of just one of the characters. If they've earned it, then they will get it. But otherwise, I'll continue kind of floating the focus around. I like it. Okay, like now I could go for a beer. Or put a little bit of whiskey on that. Apple juice. Apple juice. D&Me never wear. I like it. Toot Toot should guest host. DJ Love and Toot Toot. I'm trying to come up with the sound effects that a radio morning TV show would have. No. One more. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Bullet bourbon. Dink, dink, doo, doo, dink, 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 doo, doo. All right. We're burning through this list. I love it. Okay. What else? Let's roll for it. I'm going to throw a D4 in here also because there are 23 things on my list now. So I want to give 21 through 23 a chance to get read. That is a 1 and a 10. 11. Have my open world campaign Girls D&D overlap with D&Me details-wise? Yes, with I'll go. Okay, so that's an interesting talking point, because I was wondering, as I was starting D&Me, then I was also DMing a group of mostly female players or female identifying players. And Like, that was a completely homebrewed world. I made up everything. I made up all the characters and locations and stuff. And that was wonderful. I have a bunch of notes for that. And so I was wondering if D&Me would be separate from the girls' D&D is what I affectionately called it, because we never came up with a name. Because D&Me story-wise comes from Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That's where the campaign is, and those are all the locations. And I take some of these characters, I modify them to bits and pieces if I want to. But, like, I was wondering if there would be any overlap whatsoever, or Venn diagram of, like, okay, these were specifically these, or then... And then I came up with something I wanted to do in one of the locations, and I was like, oh, you know who will be amazing? And then I drew one of my NPCs from the girls' D&D group, and then I put it there. I'm like, yes, that was very good. And so throughout, things have kind of bled together a little bit. I do want to go through the girl D&D group, because unfortunately, for the most part, it's that game has stopped. But I still have a lot of notes and a lot of characters that I want to play as or salvage. So I definitely want to go through my girls' D&D documents. Let's see. How many pages do I have? Okay, for my D&D Girls document, we played for 14 episodes. Reckless. Yeah, finding those moments where you can pull a character into a new campaign can be awesome. Yeah. And a really, really cool thing about D&Me is that sometimes I make specific references about any of these characters, or about a new thing, or something that I talked to someone about one time. And, like, that audience is, like, 2 people who will get that reference. But when they do get it, then I see in caps, like, I see in the chat, like, all caps, like, oh my God, that character is making an appearance. So that has been amazing for me. But for my D&D girls group, we played for 14 sessions. And there are 38 pages of notes. So I have a lot of characters that haven't been seen yet. I have a lot of handwritten notes in some of my piles here of stuff, and since it's all my headcanon and, like, me creating these characters, then I could totally pull them into my D&Me supplemental. I need a better name for that, like my D&Me manual. That's not bad. Monster manual, D&Me manual. The D&Me manual, that sounds like D and then his Hispanic friend Manuel. So D&Me manual and my manual. D&Me manual. D&Me manual. If I keep saying it enough times, then maybe. But yeah, that's 38 pages of notes that I do want to comb through and go, oh, I'm going to take that character. Because I think I also did that for my D&Me game notes. So I have more. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Word documents on my desktop for D&Me, which is the game, the current game right now. And then D&Me game is the current game right now. D&Me game notes are like all of the lore that I have, which I should open that right now. That is D&Me game notes, so like all my lore is 20 pages. D&Me priorities is my to-do list, and that's like 21 pages. D&Me shirts, because I keep track of what shirt I wear for each stream, because early on someone went, hey. And I was like, oh, okay. D&Me NPCs, that's all of the NPCs that show up in the game, and some notes of ones that haven't shown up yet but will absolutely be in D&Me. D&, artistry are like ideas that I want to draw on my D&, art stream. D&, artistry art stream, which is tomorrow. It's Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Past D&Me game, so out of the 30 episodes, I take the notes that I wrote down for that episode, and then I take it and then throw it into my completed file so that they're not bogging down, weighing down my current game file. D&Mead, which is the document we're reading right now. Clippables, which whenever I think of like, oh man, that'll be fun to clip for Twitch, then I write down the time codes, and it's like 3 minutes, but those 3 minutes build. So I just want to sit down and like crank them all out, or like crank out. I think I have like 100 clippable ideas, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tonight, not including the 17 minutes where we did Monster Manual drinks, which was great, but that's 10 more, 3 minutes each, half an hour. Anyways. Reckless says, I've got a couple NPCs that I plan on making appearances in all of my campaigns, and probably like 6 more of my current campaign. 6 more from my current campaign. That's great. Very the Reckless multiverse. Edwin, for When Can We Play, all of his games, Blades in the Dark, Vassin, they are all connected, which is beautiful. And kudos to y'all that can do that. NPCs, I plan on making appearances in all my campaigns. I love it. Because some are so good that you're like, God, I used it in one campaign, but I don't want it just to like leave them there. Because they can interact with anyone, or their voice is so good, or like they always get a reaction out of my players. Those are always fun. I love those. And probably like 6 more from my current campaign. Yeah, I love making characters. And a DM tip and trick. If you're the type of tabletop role-playing game player that always keeps coming up with character ideas of like, oh man, I want to play a half-orc ranger this time. You can be a DM, and then you can make all of the characters you want and then have them talk to your players. That's what I do. Mwahaha! It's great. Bop. It's been 2 hours already. Well, 2 hours including the pre-show. My 20-minute pre-show, which I need to put music to or something, which is in my notes already. So, clippables, and then what other on my Word documents? Other content creators. So, I wrote down the Reckless Troubadour tonight. So, I got you. I got you, Kev. I got you. Hey there. Hey there, you with the face. All right. Did I finish talking about that? Oh, have my open world campaign overlap with D&Me details-wise? Yes. For example, in episode 5, the Skewered Dragon. Yeah, episode 5, the Skewered Dragon. The blue tiefling that we meet in the Skewered Dragon is from my Girls D&D group. Her name is Ago. She's a French tiefling who is a master rogue and is really badass, and I love her. I love her. That sounded very creepy, Victor. Don't do that. Okay. I'm getting a little bit tired. I'm getting a little sleepy, but it's 8:42, so I'm appropriately sleepy. Although the time change, bullshit. Anyways. Damn, apple juice, you tasty as hell. That's pretty cute. Clip that. Apple juice. Right. Oh, let's roll to see what else I talk about. We talked about a lot. And 17. Also, Reckless, if you have any questions about me or D&Me or anything D&D or anything under the sun, let me know. Thank you for joining me tonight. What a lovely treat. So, bop. Prime Gaming. I need to figure out also, like, if you have an Amazon Prime account, how you can translate that into a Twitch subscription. I need to figure that out. Anyways, 17. So I have a bunch of notes for my podcast, editing the podcast version of D&Me, which is its whole other bunch of bullshit. So 17 is I can easily edit out Twitch interruptions from the podcast. So my D&Me adventure, because my first experience really with Twitch is Critical Role, of course, and then When Can We Play? And they don't address the chat all that much. Like, I've watched other Twitch, well, Critical Role doesn't even touch chat because it just 17 miles a minute just flies by, so, and thousands of contributors to the chat. But when I was first starting, then people would, like my first couple episodes, people would show up in the chat, and then I'd be, so Toot then goes outside, and then I would read the chat. Yeah, so the Reckless says, yeah, I can't even watch it with the chat on. Yeah, Critical Role, that's bleh, bleh. But I talked to Goat versus Fish, who taught me a bunch of stuff, and he's like, well, unfortunately, Twitch is like a very, it's a social media, but live video. So you contributing in the chat, like, it feels great to have the content creator go, hey, thank you, The Reckless Troubadour, for saying, yeah, I can't even watch it with the chat on at 8:44. It's like, oh, he said my name. Or like when you contribute 50 bits or something, then the person, like, it does a little fun emote or like animation, GIF, and then like you feel special because you've contributed to like this show. So folding a lot more of that in than I do in between scenes. Like I stop and talk to the chat and then thank people for following and subscribing. But there's like a lot more incentives that I do want to do. But part of all of this is that when I do go, oh, so the Reckless Troubadour says at 8:44, yeah, I can't even watch it with the chat on. For the podcast version, if I don't feel that something like there's great for the Twitch itself of like the live thing, and this is like this beautiful, fluid, weird live video entertainment experiment experience that we do. That when I do put it into the podcast, then the podcast is an edited version. It's as clean and as polished as I can make this product, because this is very fluid and live and like, oh no, I dropped the die on the floor. Oh, let me get that. Whoops. Oh, we can laugh about that together. But I don't need that for the podcast, because the people are listening there more for the story instead of my shout outs or like me complaining all the time about the loud cars or the sirens. Like, that's a Twitch thing, but the podcast itself is me editing down, because it's also very hard, because me writing the show and storytelling on the fly in the moment for D&Me, the Twitch show, is like, I'm taking the time right now to think of the words. So it's me writing and not having the benefit of the doubt to edit it. But for the podcast, I can edit it when I say, okay, so he went up the ladder, so he went up the stairs, so I can cut that out. So it's really fun to see how much I can cut out from the show, and then how smoothly it can go. And when I clean and polish, like rock tumble this show, then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a great show. But sometimes I feel a little self-conscious of spending 2 minutes, like 90 seconds going like this. What would Tipsy do in this round of combat? Or like flipping through their spell pages. But if I'm just writing this adventure by myself at my computer, like in a Word document, then I would have the time to like stop and go, okay. But that's, I think, some of the appeal of this show, is that I'm thinking of stuff on the fly, and I often surprise myself. A lot of people really love Reckless in this show when I go, oh, I didn't even think about that. It's amazing. Because, you know, when you DM, then when your players come up with a cool thing, then you're like, man, I didn't think about that. But me going back through the notes and going, okay, does Rock have anything fun in his inventory? Oh my God, I forgot about that. Because I can't keep in my head 80 items and 200 spells. So that's all kind of me cleaning all that up. Reckless in the chat says, oh yeah, I be cutting that out for a podcast. It's cool in the moment when you're reacting on Twitch, but yeah, not really needed in other media. Absolutely. Those lightning bolt moments are priceless. Absolutely. And some of the best highlights are like me remembering in the moment that Rock has a spell that would be absolutely perfect for this, or a piece of lore in one of their backstories that I'm like, oh, I didn't even connect those dots, but I've absolutely been painting towards this dot right here to be connected to that dot in episode 8 or whatever. It's great. But yeah, like this live Twitch experience versus the cleanliness of the podcast, because when I tell new people about D&Me, then I'm like, yeah, so it's a Twitch show and a YouTube show. Like I put the Twitch video up on YouTube so you can watch the live thing unedited. But if you just catch up to the story, then I have my first 8 episodes as a podcast, so you can just listen straight to those. And then if you have even less time, then I have D&M recaps, where I spend each D&M recap summarizing 5 episodes of D&Me at a time in kind of 5 minutes. So the first D&M recap, episode 1 through 5, is about 6 minutes something. The second episode, 6 through 10, is about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And then the third episode, 11 through 15, is like 5 minutes. So, Reckless, if you want, you can watch the D&M recap and you can get caught up to episode 15. I'm working on 16 through 20, 21 through 25, and then 26 through 30. That is on my to-do list. That might be next week, because I don't have a lot left in me for the remainder of this week leading up to episode 30, which is this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Well, twitch.tv/DnMeAdventures. I like them. This is a lot of energy. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. Excuse me. All right. I would say the last 10 minutes here, we can do another talking about the podcast, because we're right there. Can easily edit out Twitch interruptions from the podcast. And it's not really interruptions. It's just I have been getting better at letting the chat, like reading the chat shuffled in instead of being distracted by it. So I minimize the chat or keep it off screen, and then I can click and drag it in when I'm ready to interact with it. So that's cool. Ooh, Reckless. I'm excited to see like your emotes, because Admiral showed me a bunch of her emotes, their emotes. And I don't have my emotes yet, but yum, yum, yum. All right, talking about the podcast some more. This actually, I will talk about the new number 17, because I just the other one, so 18 became 17, which D&Me extras deserve to be edited for the podcast. I have, again, 50 videos. 30 of them are the campaign episodes proper, and then 20 are D&Me extras. So, D&Me, either D&M Artistry or D&Mead, like the drink, or I have some edited videos of like behind the scenes stuff. So I was wondering which of these would be good to edit for the podcast. And then I've decided, and only started wording it right now, that the podcast will only be the campaign episodes. So episodes 1 through 30 right now will end up being the podcast, because if you like the D&Me extras, then I think it really pairs well to watch the videos of them. So hearing me unbox 15 packages for the D&Me extras unboxing, which was my third D&Me extra video, I don't think that'll translate very well. Like, D&Me announcement is me taking half an hour to announce what D&Me is. Like, that was the very first episode. But me explaining what D&D is, no, I think it's just cleaner just to have episodes 1 through 30. And then you can check on my YouTube for everything else. And my Twitch, because I highlight them. I don't know if that's really the way to get a whole lot of views. by having saved videos on Twitch, but it counts, man. I have like 6 views on one of the old videos, so every view counts. So which D&Me extras deserve to be edited for the podcast? I don't think any of them. At the beginning, when I had a lot more free time, then I was like, man, like I could crank out an episode, like editing it down, easy. And now, me with very little free time, then I'm like, no, because editing one episode of the podcast nowadays for, I think episodes 1 through 11 are only 2 hours each. Episode 12 through now are 2.5 hours. Editing 2 hours sometimes takes me 7 hours. So the 2-hour video down to 90 minutes or whatever sometimes takes 7 hours. And I haven't even tried a 2.5-hour episode yet. So that's a lot. It's hard to do 7 hours in a week. And that's why I'm 22 episodes behind on the podcast. But episodes 1 through 8 are podcastable. Reckless says, yeah, I also need to get better at Twitch things like with emotes and overlays and sound alerts and all that stuff. Granted, I need to get a stream schedule figured out and stick to it to help build followers. I have heard that like consistency is great. So me doing the Wednesday nights, it works well for me. And then D&' Artistry on Tuesday nights. That's a new thing that has only happened for the past couple weeks. Having D&Mead like the drink on a random Monday and only announcing it as a surprise on my D&Medias isn't the best to have sustainable viewers, but I have one viewer right now, and we've had a lovely conversation so far in this 2 hours, and my voice definitely is cracking, and I can feel it slowly winding down. But yeah, I think a consistent schedule, because also like my parents and my sister watches, so I want to make sure that it's easiest for them because they're very supportive and loving, and that's amazing. So, but also when I get a PlayStation 5, not if but when I get a PlayStation 5, then me playing video games on all the other nights will definitely build up a following. And then my mom actually suggested that until I get my PlayStation 5, not if, but when I get my PlayStation 5, that I play my old PS2 that I got in college because we didn't have game consoles growing up, and maybe stream off of that. So it'd be really cool. It might be really difficult to stream off of that manual technology instead of analog. Is that right? Is that what I meant? I don't know. But I have 86 followers, though. So what would be a realistic timeline to aim for 100? Maybe by the end of, like, April? That might be cool. But how do I do it besides doing what I'm already doing? I don't know. Something to put crock pot and then have mentally marinate over the next couple weeks. Yep, I can feel me going. But what is your favorite? Mine is pumpkin. Answer in the chat. That's cute. And like a poll, and then cheersing, and anyway. Yeah, that's great. We knocked out a whole bunch of stuff in my D&Medium page. That's great, because I was going through all of my priorities, and I'm like, this isn't really applicable. Where do I put it? And I'm like, you know what? I'll talk about it when I'm drinking. So the fact that we've covered a lot of my past ideas for D&Mead like a drink here on D&Mead like a drink. The show is D&Me. I fucked myself over with that, but no, it's lovely. Thank you for joining me and then watching this. Thank you, Reckless. It was lovely to spend a night with you. Well, okay, hold on now. Calm down, Victor. Yeah, so tune in tomorrow, Tuesday at 7 p.m. where I do D&' Artistry, where I work on this D& pre-show. Let's all roll for our hobby. Let's all roll for our hobby. Oh, man, I should really figure out the rest of the lyrics by tomorrow. That'll be something I can do. But that's my pre-show, where I design and make these all my boys. Jesus, that's big. All right. So yeah, this the candy bar is Tipsy, and then Onyx, Tipsy, the Forest Gnome Rogue, will be the candy bar, and then Onyx, my Dwarf Barbarian, will be the popcorn, and then Rock, my Half-Orc Wizard, which we talked about a lot tonight. Thank you very much. You're quite welcome, Rock. Will be some more candy, and then Toot Toot will be the drink. So over the past couple weeks, we've actually been working on this, and it's quite lovely. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. That's all real for our hobby. Let's see. Dap. So that's Tuesday, 7 p.m. D and Artistry. And then Wednesday, March 16th, is episode 31 of D&Me. So thank you so much for joining me for D&Mead Like a Drink. And I'll see y'all soon. I'm going to get this out of here so I won't come back to Twitch and going, what the? Why do I favorite pie? All right. Thank you. Good night.